Basal Eurasians were an early offshoot of modern humans, essentially a ghost lineage inferred from the DNA, not yet identified in any specific fossils. No direct DNA extraction of these people, nothing like what we saw with the Takakori people in North Africa, or the ANE over in China.
What if I told you that millions of people walking the earth today are carrying the DNA of a mysterious, unknown human species? A species we have never found, not a single bone, not a single fossil. A species that existed, had children with our ancestors, and then vanished from the face of the earth, leaving behind only a genetic echo, a ghost, inside of us. Scientists discover Coast DNA in West Africa from UN-known human species that changes everything. This isn't science fiction. This is a terrifying new discovery that is rewriting the very story of human evolution.
The concept was introduced by geneticist Iosif Lazaridis and colleagues in 2014, who found that early European farmers carried about 44% of their ancestry from a mysterious, non-African source that they dubbed Basal Eurasians. This group is hypothesized to have split off from all other non-African humans shortly after the out-of-Africa migration.
In 2020, a team of scientists led by computational biologist Sriram Sankararaman at UCLA published a groundbreaking study in the journal Science Advances. They analyzed the complete genomes of over 400 people from populations in West Africa, including the Yoruba people of Nigeria and the Mende people of Sierra Leone. They were looking for traces of ancient DNA, similar to the Neanderthal DNA found in Europeans and Asians. But what they found was something else entirely. Using advanced statistical models, they isolated chunks of DNA that didn't belong. It wasn't from modern humans, it wasn't Neanderthal, and it wasn't Denisovan. It was something unknown. They had discovered the genetic footprint of a ghost population. To understand how terrifying this is, we need to look at our own family tree.
Before the rest of those humans interbred with Neanderthals. So in other words, Basal Eurasians represent a sister branch to all other Eurasians. All the Eurasians don't come from them, they come from this same group and split off from that same base. They're a population that left Africa early, around 60,000 to 100,000 years ago, and then remained isolated, avoiding the Neanderthal admixture that affected all the other ancestors of the Eurasians.
We know that our species, Homo sapiens, shared the planet with other human relatives. In Europe and Asia, our ancestors met and interbred with Neanderthals. That's why many of us today carry 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. In Oceania, our ancestors mixed with another group, the Denisovans, discovered from nothing more than a single finger bone found in a Siberian cave. But this ghost DNA from West Africa is different. The analysis shows it comes from a population that split from our ancestors even before the Neanderthals did, somewhere between 600,000 and 1 million years ago. This makes them an incredibly ancient and distinct lineage of human. And here is the chilling part. For Neanderthals, we have bones. For Denisovans, we have a finger bone. For this ghost species, we have absolutely nothing, not a single physical trace. Just their DNA, hiding in plain sight within the genomes of living people. And this isn't just a tiny trace. The study revealed that this ghost DNA makes up between 2% and a staggering 19% of the genetic ancestry of the West African individuals they studied too. 19%. That's a massive genetic inheritance from a species we can't even name. The interbreeding event, or events, likely happened around 43,000 to 50,000 years ago, when modern humans were spreading across Africa. Dr. Sankararaman described their method as a genetic detective, scanning the genome to, in his words, pull out chunks of DNA which we think are likely to have come from a population that is not modern human, and the chunks they pulled out belong to a complete phantom. This leads to the terrifying and central question. If this species existed and interbred with our ancestors, where are they? Where are the fossils, the tools, the burial sites? The answer is likely lost to time. Africa's warm, humid climate is brutal for preservation. As researcher Sharon Browning noted, the conditions have to be perfect for fossils and DNA to survive, and in much of Africa, they simply aren't. The jungle, it seems, has kept its secrets. This ghost species lived, breathed, and walked the African landscape. They were our relatives. They looked into the eyes of our ancestors. And then, they vanished so completely that the only proof of their existence is a whisper in our DNA. It forces us to wonder, How many other ghost species are out there, lost to time, whose stories we will never know? This discovery doesn't just add a new character to our evolutionary play, it flips the entire script. For decades, the story of human evolution was seen as a relatively simple tree, but discoveries like this prove it was a far more complex and messy web. It proves that Africa, the cradle of humanity, holds far more mysteries than we ever imagined. The ghost DNA appears so frequently that scientists believe it may have given our ancestors an evolutionary advantage. Perhaps it provided immunity to local diseases or other beneficial traits that helped them survive. This wasn't just a random encounter. This was a crucial chapter in the story of human survival, written by a species we've never seen. It tells us that our own lineage is not as pure as we once thought. We are all hybrids, mosaics of different ancient peoples, carrying the legacy of lost worlds within our very cells. So what happened to this mysterious ghost population? There are two main theories. 1. They simply went extinct, wiped out by climate change or competition. Or 2. They were so successful at interbreeding that they were completely absorbed into the larger population of modern humans, their unique lineage dissolving into ours over thousands of years. The scientists behind this discovery are certain of one thing: this is just the beginning. As Dr. Sankararaman stated, as we get more data from diverse populations, our ability to sift through that data and excavate these ghost populations is going to get better. There are likely more ghosts hiding in our DNA, from Africa to Asia and beyond. We are at the very beginning of a new era of discovery, where the biggest clues to our past are not buried under the ground, but are locked away inside of us. The story of humanity is still being written, and its most shocking chapters have been hidden, waiting to be read, in our own DNA. But here's the truly chilling question that keeps scientists awake at night. If this ghost species had up to 19% representation in the DNA of modern West Africans, they weren't just a small, isolated group. They were numerous. They were successful. They survived for hundreds of thousands of years in the heart of Africa, the most competitive environment on, and yet, despite their success, despite their numbers, despite leaving their genetic mark on millions of people alive today, we have found nothing. Not one tooth, not one tool, not one carving or painting. It's as if they were deliberately erased from history. The ghost species didn't just vanish, they vanished so completely, so thoroughly, that it defies explanation. And that, perhaps, is the most terrifying mystery of all.
Basal Eurasians were an early offshoot of modern humans, essentially a ghost lineage inferred from the DNA. Not yet identified in any specific fossils. No direct DNA extraction of these people, nothing like what we saw with the Takakori people in North Africa, or the